The IGP has vowed to penalize any police officer found misusing their position of authority to transfer case files without due process or just cause. He adds that such practices undermine investigations and diminish public confidence in the police. And joining me now from Lagos is Barrister Malachy Ugwumadu, a human rights lawyer and former president of the Committee for the Defense of Human Rights. Thanks for joining us tonight.
I'm delighted to be here. Good evening, George.
What do you think the IGP was referring to when he said, quote, unwarranted and unethical practice of transferring ongoing cases?
Well, again, thank you for having me. I think, given the release that we have all read from the police public relation officer, it is evidently clear that the IGA of police is referencing the practice, if you like, the unholy practice of transferring cases from one division or formation of the police force to another during investigation. What is not very clear to some of us is that that admonition had been given in the past. Some of us are aware, perhaps not under this particular Inspector General of Police, that that directive had been given in the past. In fact, on many occasions, as a practicing lawyer who has multiple reasons to interface with the police at every division and formation up to the headquarters, I'm aware that this is a standing order. The fact that it is now being re-emphasized and reiterated goes to the issue of the inability of the force to put a definitive end to this. The IG clearly has been clear. I mean, it's quite succinct and clear about what he means. He puts it directly. The communication was effective. What is not very clear is why it has persisted, even in spite of that directive. And this is quite consistent with what we are now used to.
Do you then think that this warning, is really for his police officers in the IGP's rank and file, or is he actually referring to perhaps some public officials allegedly patronizing these officers?
No, I think that question is important because it goes to characterize what has happened. And I'm speaking not just as a Nigerian, but as a practicing lawyer who, on many occasions, like I said, have had cause to deal with these people. Here is the point. A matter is brought to a particular formation of the Nigerian Police Force, say area command. It could be that the matter is well within the criminal capacity of the Nigerian police to invoke their powers to intervene. The investigation ensues, but before you know it, there are calls from all parts of the country. In fact, most times, even outside the police force, prevailing on that particular police formation, particularly when it is below the rank of the IG, to either suspend or release the suspect. Where that doesn't happen, they take the next line of action, which is to transfer, and these things are done arbitrarily. But please make no mistake about it, and let me be very clear about this. It is not a one-way traffic. It is not just about those who move the cases away from formations to other divisions. It is also about some of the cases you bring directly to the Inspector General's office. I'm talking about the force headquarters. They also, in the operation of the Nigerian police, they also transfer some of these matters. So it's a double-edged sword. you have noticed that there are a lot of influence peddling around a particular jurisdiction. You realize that Nigeria has become a center for influence peddling. And in fact, perpetrators of crime will even boast to the victims that nothing will happen. In that circumstance, you take away that matter, you petition in the first instance, maybe to the AIG's office or the Inspector General of Police.
I say about the independence of the Nigerian police force.
Say that again.
So what does that say about the independence of the Nigerian police force, the Nigeria police force?
It describes in graphic manner the poverty of the situation. And it's not just about the independence and impartiality of the Nigerian police force. It also goes to the problem of real federalism as we canvass it. Federalism recognizes the juxtaposition of powers at different tiers of government. It mustn't be at the level of IG alone. Power must devolve. And when I say power, I'm also talking about the cohesive power of the country. The police enjoy the first line chart of security law enforcement in the country. So if directives and operations of the police can be that easily manipulated, then that poses a serious security crisis, or at least problem, much more beyond the independence and credibility of the Nigerian police. So here's my point. It is good to emphasize this point.
Right.
But it is not a one-edged sword. It is a double-edged sword. And how do I mean? Where it has become clear that the Nigerian police force, as presently constituted, has likely become transactional. Mark my word, transactional. In the sense that whoever has sufficient funds to dispense gets the kind of relief and justice, in quote, in any police formation.
Malachy, let me just come in here. Let me come in here quickly, because we know that there are still some very decent police officers out there. But from a legal perspective, what are the potential consequences for officers found to be misusing their public offices, and how might this affect their careers or future prospects?
I would think that the Nigerian police force, in their operations and dealings, should, intensify their internal control mechanisms. The Nigerian police force has a very robust disciplinary processes. And the IG would be better off if he puts in practice some of those discrete monitoring procedures and mechanisms by which he checks the abuse of power and the misuse of power. That's what is an issue. So if somebody has found out very creditably and comes to the conclusion that his or her case is suffering in a particular police formation on account of the influence of other money bags of very funny people around, he reserves the right as a Nigerian to seek the transfer of that case from that particular police formation.
Right.
Where he gets no help. That should be the most credible thing to do. But when you now issue a blanket on such, without a corresponding check on the menace itself, then you have left many a Nigerian in a cul-de-sac.
Right, Malachy. Basically, you're saying there should be monitoring procedures and mechanisms, and there should be a check and balance in the abuse of power. Clearly, there must be consequences for bad behavior. Malachy Ugwumadu, human rights lawyer, thank you so much for your thoughts tonight.